All right, final steps here. We are just blocking in shape and value. That's all we're doing. We're not really working on any details yet. We're just mapping out where things go. Whenever you're working as a visual artist, it's always important to remember that things aren't going to happen quickly as you're working on your drawing or your painting or your sculpture, whatever you're working on. It's a process, and every visual arts form has steps and stages to it, and that's kind of what I love about it, actually. But I know as a young person, it's a different experience. You'll get used to it. You'll get used to working on it for long periods of time, and I do my best to kind of break it up into steps for you. Um, but just know that this is just step one. Okay, if you once you get everything mapped out, that your drawing is not finished. I mean, does it? And I can ask you a question: does my drawing look finished? If I were to finish these white blocks, would it look finished, or does it look pretty sketchy? I think it looks pretty sketchy, and you can see in my demos how quickly I made this. So we're just in the mapping out stage, and we're going to learn how to do some pretty nice detail in charcoal later. But we have to kind of lay it out first and get everything kind of where it needs to go before we can do the details, right? Because why even work on a detail if you have the shape in the wrong place? If your objective is to really try to make this realistic or work from your resource, right? You created a source. You created this really interesting collage, and now your job is to take this and move it here. And the reason I'm not having you just turn this in as your assignment is that we're learning how to work with charcoal. We're learning how to take one thing visually and scale it up to make a bigger version of it. We're learning how to get value and texture using this new material of yours, which is your charcoal and also your eraser, and we're going to be using the white charcoal as well. So there are things you're learning in this process of creating this collage, transferring it, scaling it up, breaking it down into sections. That's how a lot of artists draw something realistically, is that their source image might be really tiny, but they might be making a really large painting of it, or they might be making a really large sculpture of it. Well, how does an artist take something tiny like this as a resource and scale it up and make it, realistic and look the same but bigger? So that's what we're learning in this process. We're also learning about these famous people a little bit in choosing to draw them. And we're learning how to create texture and value. We're learning about proportion. We're learning how to make an interesting and entertaining composition. We're learning a lot of things with this assignment. So this looks like this is Frida Kahlo's shoulder. She's got this really interesting scarf or element to her dress here that looks kind of like cushioned pleats. So I'm going to just kind of go back and forth like that, do a little blending, and now all of a sudden I have something that looks three-dimensional and textured. Charcoal is an amazing an amazing medium to use, because I love it so much because I kind of feel like it's a little similar to clay in that you can really mold it. You can very easily create three dimensions just by smearing it with your finger. It's kind of incredible how quickly you can make something look three-dimensional with charcoal. And that's kind of why I prefer it over pencil. Pencil, you can do the same thing. It just takes more pencil, more lead down on the page, and more blending to get this effect, and it's a little bit more of a tedious medium. It's still fun, and we're going to learn how to work with it as well, but it's a different experience than this. This is more immediate. It's messier, and it's kind of a quicker way to learn how to get value than the pencils. Okay, so all I have left to do in terms of my underpainting or my underdrawing is the top two boxes. So that happened pretty quick. You know, it took me maybe half an hour. So, you know, it's going to take you guys longer than that because you're just learning how to do this. So maybe it will take you an hour or two to finish blocking and everything. So just be prepared for that. That's kind of what I expect. That's the time that I expect you're going to take on making this happen. If you're finishing all this blocking in and value adding in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I would ask that you really slow down because you're going too fast. You need to stop and slow down and look. You really, really need to look at what you're doing. Be patient. My recommendation also is to not have other things going on, like set up in your studio space. Have it be a really nice quiet space. You could have some music playing in the background, but don't have the TV on and your favorite show on and, you know, distractions. I really want you to learn how to focus on your work here. Right now I'm kind of blocking in Gordon Parks' his head, the top of his head here, which is, his hair is dark here, so I'm going to block that in. Get some shadow on his forehead. These are all different pictures. You're going to be drawing the different cutout pictures. I want to see your collage on your page. So you're not like melting these images together. That would kind of be another assignment. This assignment is to try to accurately record what you have on your collage. So that's your goal. All right, and finish up with this camera. And then we've got Mother Teresa's scarf here. That kind of comes out right there. Didn't get as much of that as I really wanted in there, but it's okay. I like that I have a little bit of it in there. This part's dark. This part's dark, but it's maybe not as dark as this part. So we really have to pay attention to those subtle value differences or textures. And then this is the white part. So I'm going to put a little bit of value because even white has shadow on it. Nothing is going to be pure white in this drawing. Maybe the white of her eye, but we're going to go back in with our charcoal, our white charcoal, and get that. So there should be charcoal kind of rubbed into every single part of your drawing, even the areas that are white. This is where it gets confusing because there's so many cut up pieces up here and it's all like hair and texture. So it's a little bit confusing. And then we got some overlapping. Right, so we got Marilyn here. Put some lines in here. And eventually, like, I don't see a huge value difference between Marilyn's face and Sharbat Gulu's face. I'm going to put a line there just so I can see for myself for now, but I might go back in and instead of that line I put like a shadow behind the paper or something so it doesn't look so obvious. Okay, so I'd like to put my finger down where I'm looking because then when I go back to look again I don't have to find it with my eyes. It's less work for me when I can go back and know where I'm looking. So now we have Virginia Woolf's fur jacket here. I'm getting that texture. I'll show you how to do fur in a little bit if you have any fur. And then we're jumping up and behind that we have more of the Mother Teresa photo that kind of comes that way. And then we have a little bit of her stripes that kind of nicely go like right into Sharbat Gula's head scarf. So that one's black, and that one's black. And then we have darkness over here. Okay, almost done. A little bit further. I've got some Van Gogh head up here, so that'll be fun to get some of his brush stroke texture in there. So that's kind of like black and white stripes is what it looks like to me. This is the top of his head here. This is his hair. And then behind him he has, you know, streaks in the sky, which he was also famous for. Very moody skies. Van Gogh saw the world in a very, very moody way. Very emotional, very intense. Okay, so that officially is my drawing all blocked in. So at some point you're going to turn this in. We're still calling it a whip, right? We're still calling it a work in progress. And you're going to turn this in with this, and then we're going to do a critique. We're going to break into small groups. You're going to look at each other's work. You're going to offer suggestions. And you're even going to critique mine. You're going to say, Miss Greninger, that nose is not in the right place. Her hand's too big. You know, you're going to talk to me about where things are placed. The critique is really going to be about composition and accuracy from collage to drawing. And then we're going to take it from there and start refining this. We're really going to start getting in there with our more refined tools, like our blending stumps that are tiny, and our erasers. You might want to gather up a few different size erasers, like the end of a number 2 pencil is good for detail, and then your white charcoal. So that is the next step. All right, thank you so much.